All right. Happy Easter Eve. You asked, and I will honor my promise to you guys. I forgot today's topic, the narcissist and sex. What are some of the differences? So, this is an adult type chat, but feel free to ask any questions, comment, and um, some of you are going to be logging in because I had to recreate this. Yay! Yeah, Debbie, thank you for reminding me. I didn't wake up till 6 p.m. just 3 hours ago. I slept all day. I don't know what's wrong with me. But yeah, there are some differences with uh, how they handle sex. And thank you for that thumbs up. I can tell you already you're happier. And let me ask you before we get started, Debbie, have you noticed any differences between a healthy relationship and a narcissistic relationship? A lot of them seem extremely intense, very sexual, very passionate. And, sometimes that can even be an overcompensation for the lack of having to get close. You blow them away with fantastic sex. You don't have to talk about other issues. It just kind of falls into place. But some narcissists will be honest that they just want to use you. A lot of times they will not be honest. They will promise you the future. They will mirror what you are. So, they'll get to know who you are and then utilize that as ways to justify manipulating the situation. So if you say that, you want to wait 4 months, and they can say, it feels like I've been with you for 4 months because, we've been dating every day. You never had sex. That's good. That's good. You get an emotional a tie with them, like a soul tie. So be careful who you do have sex with, because it does connect you. Even I mentioned this before, I'm a rape victim, and it ties into your soul in some way or another. That whether when you are intimate with somebody else, it can tie back to that in sexual thing that since I just said that, I probably don't get any ads on my nobody's gonna but we're gonna be real in this one. This one isn't about ads. This one's about getting real. But it does connect a soul tie that it will cause you to compare other people, whether you're afraid of certain touches or liking or disliking certain actions or wishing that they could have done it better. Um, Sometimes those memories pop into your head and it takes you out of the moment of experiencing that act with your partner. So we do have to remember that the more people you're with, the more these little ties and the more it takes away from that um, wholeness of living in the moment. So the narcissist, when it comes to sex, sometimes too, that's all they want. And so are you. And will never but it will never happen. He has to talk to me first and see me. And that's the thing. We need, people who we're going to get that close with to have, a very true trust, because there are diseases that could happen or pregnancies. And, you know, um, depending on who you are, a lot of times you want the relationship that goes with that. Some people are just in for the fun. But that's where they don't want an emotional connection. And that can kind of be a red flag too, that they're not emotionally available. So if somebody's not emotionally available, they're not going to give you a relationship. They're not going to come through on the hard times. And the narcissist will use sex for he can wear his raincoats. This is the thing. They will either poke holes in them or take them off or pretend to put it on. And that's some real stuff. Like they're not always trustworthy. So, in a healthy relationship, if you say, hey, this is the deal, um, you stick to it. But narcissists are way different. Some will follow along just so they can have sex with you. But if they get something in their mind that they want a child or they're pissed at you, and let's say, hopefully not, but if they have a sexually transmitted disease and they want to pass it on to you, that, there's going to be some manipulation in it. Narcissists are a lot of times about revenge or controlling the situation. Unless he used them all, I can get more. Uh-oh. Yes, sometimes they do have a lot of extra partners, a lot of them will, you know, um, try to seduce you, whether it's with pictures or getting you drunk, that, or even worse, but they will utilize manipulation tools like that, not just I agree, it's a turn off, big turn off. So, I agree. Yeah, the more promiscuous somebody is, the more of a turn off it is to me, because it also shows, the depth of people, how they view people, you know? Is it just playtime for them? And does it even matter who they're with? That's the other thing too. But when they start using things to wear down your uh boundaries, for lack of exact word that I'm looking for, um inhibitions, that they're trying to coerce you. Who's the other person in the chat? Let's see who it is. I'm not sure. Feel free to say hi. Love to have everybody. We got some new subscribers. I just see it's so weird. This thing does not work good. It might be somebody who is not a subscriber. Which is fine. You guys are totally welcome. I had to put on filter of subscribers only for chat mode. They just left. People get shy even though we can't see them. But I did that because of the harassment, not that I'm trying to get subscribers this way. I like it when you guys don't feel pressured into being a subscriber. They're gone. Maybe it was him. Your person, It'd be pretty uh hard for them to coincidentally come onto my channel at the same time. Um, that I think would be a very big coincidence, unless you've shared some of my videos. I have not quite 2,000 subscribers, and you know, um, unless you mentioned who I am or shared, uh, I don't know if you would come onto this. That would be pretty coincidental, even though it is possible. But as far as the manipulation, um, a lot of times they'll trap you. They will try to use sex so they can get you pregnant, or women will try to get pregnant so they can trap you. So that's something, even if you discuss, we're going to wait till marriage, we're not going to have children, and sometimes too, if there can be two narcissists in the relationship too. It's not always just one, or somebody with borderline personality disorder. And yeah, I agree. Me too. Too old for babies, young enough for grandkids. um, but as far as wanting children, sometimes too they'll do that for stroking their own ego. It's not necessarily that they want the children, but I know some are wanting to have as many babies as possible, so they feel like fertility sometimes is uh, you know just perceived as a good trait. I don't know how to word it, but it's not necessarily to have the children. Sometimes too, it's to prove to the world that you are theirs. And like I said, it can be male and female, but there is something that I need to do more research on. Some people are saying that every uh, narcissist is gay. I haven't necessarily seen that, but some people don't always express that. But in in dealing with the trauma, there's different types, because sometimes they will either be hypersexual or without much of a desire for it. But a lot of times it is for their own pleasure. And what is interesting is sometimes it seems like they will satisfy us. They will do things that other people might not have. And uh, what are the nasty stuff that they do? You need it to scare you. The nasty stuff they do is, they just disrespect you, I know of one that left the hotel door room open, had the girl blindfolded, so she thought he went to go get ice to have some little playtime, and he purposely left the door open for that voyeurism type stuff. The thrill of, getting caught, some people like. Um, but as far as, sometimes they can get into bondage. Sometimes this is the thing is, they can enjoy inflicting pain. And it's different if you're into it, but when you're not into it and they break the boundaries, and that's where a lot of this comes down to what is healthy. So there are some things that we may do that we are okay with, but sometimes we have to think, why are we okay? Is that a good thing to be okay with? If you have a rape fantasy, where does that come from? And even though you're okay with it, are you healthy with it? So there are things that we need to think about that way. A lot of times they can either be into polygamy because they're not as emotionally connect or committed, or they just want as many people possible for supply. They do give a little give and take, but a lot of it is over time, they will become more and more selfish. They can use sex against you, um, to where they either get aggressive with it or they withdraw from it. They can do those grudge fucks where, they get pissed at you. So they're like, fine, I'll do this or I'll do that. Just pretty much whatever they want to do is what they're going to do. They'll sleep with your best friend if you piss them off. There's, a self aware narcissist who, um, was jealous of this other dude having this pretty girl. So he's like, I'm going to steal her. So he caused them to break up, and then he started dating this girl that he didn't even really want to date. He just wanted to show uh that he was the king, the more powerful one. And you think you're good without it. Yeah. And that's the thing. You have to be comfortable in yourself, especially if you've been a victim of SA, where you might need somebody to go a little more tender or slow, and talk through the things like, I'd like to do this. Is that okay? And, um, but they can also not realize or care that sending certain um, flirty texts or nude pictures, what that does to the other person, because all they care about is getting their ego stroked, whether it's like, you look so good, or man, look at that body, but they don't realize or take the time to see how it will affect the other person. Then they'll just lie about it. Um, but yeah, as far as the things that they do is just to satisfy themselves. And I noticed a lot of them will promise certain things or reassure you that they're not going to do certain things, and they will continue to do that or surprise you with it. And it's if they want something, they will either manipulate you into having it, depending on how important it is to them, whether it's little different fetishes. And we have to get to the root of, where do fetishes come from? There is a reason for fetishes. And there is Calibri. Happy Saturday evening to everyone. Hello. We're kind of pushing our luck with talking about sex tonight. So we'll see how this goes. But yeah, we're talking about the differences in narc oddities, the way that they view sex. Sex is a physical act. It's meant to bring you closer. There are also different chemicals that go off in the brain, and it can become very addictive. Narcissists love to watch porn. Not all of them do, but it can become highly addictive to them. And If you look at the way that the porn industry is set up, it is to objectify. And so the narcissist kind of gets used to that. I did a video about confabulation today, and it's just like the different reinforcements and filling in the blanks. And, um, with a certain close-ups that they do in porn, it kind of zones in. You forget it's a full person. So the narcissist, when they're doing the different acts, it's not about the person, you know. Um, Kalibi says, "Oh yes, the narc male I walked into was pleasuring himself or the lining of his gym shorts. I guess it's that small, he's ashamed of showing the full Monty." Yeah, they can, be quite, yeah, they wanna touch it, they wanna touch it. Um, it's yeah, they'll show it off, it's, um, yeah, they'll push the limits. If you're just friends with them, they'll start masturbating in front of you, and it's like, "What is going on?" It's a different kinda, like, lack of respect, I guess you could say, where, um so Kaliwi says, "Hi to Debbie." But the thing we have to, understand is, what our boundaries are, what our needs are, what we're comfortable with, and they, they're all about that pleasure. So a lot of times too, it's kind of interesting if, let's say you guys have a date night, whether you're married or together, but you have a date night and it's a 2-hour drive for them to come get you. They'd rather self gratify than take the time to see you a lot of times, and um, it's almost like when you're resistant to it, they they push harder. It's a challenge, and they can leave you as soon as you have sex the first time. They can judge you as a person based on how the first time went, and they can discard you. So be careful, when you are with somebody, that they're fully invested in you. That it's not a tryout or an audition to see if, you know, because usually, there might be some awkward times that you guys can kind of get to be into your own groove, but it can be quite painful if you get discarded, when you finally say yes. You think it's because you're super close and let's make it deeper, more connected. Sometimes they don't like the connection. And Kalibi says, "I think I've been dealing or have dealt with different narcs who are sexually charged, knowing the fact that both have partners. So obviously they were cheating on their partners. There's a lot of cheating going on. Yep. Because they're into, instant gratification, also low self or low impulse control. They also think they can get away with things. So um, they'll they'll risk ruining a good relationship or marriage just for moments in time. And sometimes too, I've seen it where people take bets. Um, so somebody might sleep with you just because of a bet, and they might not want to be with you. And that can make you feel extremely used. I wouldn't want a guy who does it with everyone. Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't want a guy who does it with another person. It just it's risky, and also, it's meant to bring us closer. Um Kalibi says, "One of them told me that there's no more attraction between him and his partner, that he's gotten a little too heavy." Yeah, and they can discard you on things like that, on looks. And a lot of them will go for somebody younger or more refined. Sometimes the women will go for somebody older, um, just because they'll have more money. It's also socially more seen as men become more refined and women become old and all that. There's a lot of societal pressures, and the narcissist will heed what society says, um, or or the complete opposite. That's why it's so hard talking about narcissists when we try to figure them out. They're on two opposite ends of the spectrum as opposed to normal. Normally you could tell this is this person's type or this is what this person likes. But the narcissist, sometimes too, they can flip flop. Sometimes they'll be grandiose, sometimes they'll be vulnerable, and you never quite know what you are getting with. Uh, just like when I teach at the school, the kids that have dealt with more trauma are more likely to be volatile, where sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. You never know what's going to happen. Also, there's this one little girl who this was just Friday. She's like, no more pills, no more pills. I made wise choices, no more pills. And she said that in the morning. Um, and she went home by the end of the day for the way she was acting. Um, you know, just like schizophrenics or other people, when they do utilize drugs for um, maintaining, we'll call it normalcy, um, or being on track, it's not dealing with the issue. So this little girl seemed okay for a while. So mom took her off the medications, but they didn't deal with the issue at hand. So when we don't deal with the issue, um, are we ever able to stop any medications we may need for depression, anxiety? Um, some medications, like for schizophrenics, that is kind of like a permanent thing where you don't just come back once you go over the edge. There's like a threshold that you can't come back from. But uh, with a lot of anxiety, depression, things like that, there are ways to cope and rewire your brain to healing. But just medicating it will always keep you in that state unless you heal. Just like us, unless we heal from our trauma, we will always be in this state. So it is extremely important for us to choose to heal because we can make a difference in how that happens. Um, and it can be painful. It can be hard. One narc is enough for me in this lifetime. I know you got lucky if you I had two. But the relationships are different. Sometimes we look back and we're like, am I the narcissist? Were they in the narcissist? But you just see the toxicity and the quick flip of the devaluation, and the more you try, the worse it gets. So we have to remember that. Sometimes we try a little too hard. We don't back off. We don't allow them to invest, but we get into that panic mode too. Kalibi says, I think I've been dealing. Oh, sorry, I read that. And Kalibi says, one of them told me that there's no more attraction. And you'll see that they'll at least emotionally or physically discard at that moment. They'll start to resent the other person for not being like a supermodel. Kalibi says, so why is it that after the fact that we recognize the narcs that we've encountered the less harmful ones? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Uh, that we start being more aware of who is narcissistic. Is that what you're saying? Um, if we had the capacity to reflect, if we are the narc, that means we are not. To an extent. Um, because we do pick up narcissistic traits. So we have the empathy. Some narcissists do have some empathy. So there can be a little bit of it like, yeah, I was a dick. I was a jerk. Oh well. And they move on. They move on a lot quicker than we do. We feel the guilt, the remorse, um, because we have more empathy. But were we narcissistic? And maybe not to our narcissist, but were we narcissistic to, let's say, our parents kept saying, hey, I know you're sad, come on over. And we're just like, screw it. I'm not in the mood to talk to them right now, that we don't acknowledge them. So the traits aren't always projected onto the narcissist, they're projected onto other people. Um, but yeah, most likely we were not narcissistic. We have to understand too, did we become borderline, which is very similar to narcissism. But it's almost like extreme empathy. Um, but the manipulation and the outbursts and all that stuff, there's a lot that goes into it. But we at least want to take accountability for what we did wrong. I think a lot of us are like, I wish I didn't do that, or man, I wish he understood what I was saying. Um, so we at least have some reflection and we wish we could have done things different. As a narcissist going, I wish I did this different. No, they're probably saying, I wish they did this different. That it was our fault. Why didn't we do that? Debbie says, some things he used to say, I caught myself the other day saying it the way he does. I was like, yikes, knock that off. Yeah. And we pick up traits. That's why we have to be cautious on the people that we do hang out with. The 5 people closest to us are the main people um, that form our personality. And that's why people who are friends with people who are going through divorce are more likely to go through a divorce. People who hang out with people who drink a lot are more likely to drink a lot. And it's usually the weaker way, um, you know, um, is easier to go. So it's harder to stay strong. It's easier to stay weak. So if you think you're going to stay strong in that kind of relationship, over time, you may become weakened. So Kalubi says, I understand we all have narc characteristics built within. However, if that narc element surpasses a healthy level, then red flags come up. Exactly. Very well put. Um, and you regret calling him out. Um, do you regret calling him out or regret the way you did it? Sometimes we need to call the person out, you know, or let them know, this was hurting me, or I'm confused about this. But, did you call them both? Yeah. And this is where it gets frustrating is we feel like we can't mess up. We don't get any grace, but we give them a lot of grace. And the more grace we give them, the more they continue manipulating us. So Kalibi says, as long as we educate ourselves on what narcissism is about, then we are more aware on how to navigate in life. Yeah. Because it's the little things that start to distort your reality. I just did that video on confabulation where it gets frustrating when the narcissist believes their false uh, memory is true. And, it's very hard to talk to them. And eventually we start avoiding certain topics that may need to be discussed. So we're starting to uh, throw off the balance of the relationship. We should be able to talk about what we need to talk about. And Kalibi says, as long as we educate ourselves, you're right. But in order for the relationship to work, both parties need to want it to work because it is a lot of work. Kalibi says, and as most life coaches and psychologists advise, is not to call narcs out. Just let them be. Yeah, and that's the thing. If you're going to be with a narcissist, um, yeah, they take it as an attack, and when they get attacked, they will attack back, even if you mean it kindly. You know, I wish I had let it be. And some of you are religious. Maybe that was God's way of ending it because you wouldn't end it any other way. God's like, all right. Just like I say with my nursing school, I find nursing fascinating, but I also don't like blood and disease. Uh, but I see an ad's going to run shortly for some of you guys. But oh, Melissa is here. Good to have you here. And we're talking. Feel free to join on in. Right now, we're talking about calling the narcissist out. Do we do that? They will attack back. Um, but some things you know, if they're cheating on us, don't call them out. Like it feels like there are times that we need to discuss certain things. And Kalibi says, I still feel that it's God's way of testing me. And he gave me the tool of discernment to protect myself. Yeah. And I was about to say, like with the nursing school, I went through nursing school almost miscarried, so I dropped out. It was over 2 years because it was medical. I had to repeat it. I repeat it, and, there's an ad coming. I repeat it, and I'll tell you the story in just a second, but we're gonna talk about God's intervention. Was this something that God did, that I put in the effort? I went and repeated the stuff even though I passed it. But in the end, even with assurance from the higher ups telling me we're going to complete the cycle so you can graduate, they closed the school. And it left me high and dry as far as my degree. So I always laugh. It's like I did it twice, and then I should have gotten a notification that another college was going to take us on, but I never got that. And was that some kind of divine intervention? Out of 150 people, only 11 had passed. I was in that 11, but I never got that notification. What are the chances? So, um, and in hindsight, I'm kind of glad that that's not my profession now. So I feel bad. It's like they closed, and I kind of joke. It's like God closed a whole college just so I wouldn't be a nurse. So, but you never know. I mean, that could happen. Kalibi says hi to Melissa. Melissa, how's it going for you? Um, but just protect yourself, that know what your beliefs are, know what your boundaries are, know your self-worth. Don't feel like you have to have sex to keep somebody in your life. And I told him I was sorry, but it didn't change anything. Yeah, and we have to be cautious of that too, whether we're dealing with a narcissist or somebody who's empathetic or whatever. Sometimes, yeah, you say something, there's no going back, or you do something, there's no going back. People don't always um a- allow grace, you know. Sometimes it could be to a trigger, sometimes it could be, where they feel disrespected or they don't want to give you a second chance. They might not trust you not to do it again. And narcs are never forgiving. They keep grudges up. Good point. They have that black and white thinking, depends on what the um, injury was. Yeah. And it's double standards. And sometimes too, it can be from something in your past. So, if you, I don't know, in high school dated somebody and had sex, and then, 20, 30 years later, they're like, what? You had sex with somebody? And, it's like, whoa, I wasn't cheating on you, but they'll feel that way sometimes. Grudges that last for years. Yeah. And sometimes, if the supply is low, they might give you a second chance. But a lot of times, too, it's almost like they just forget. They forget the whole relationship almost. They might have memories here and there, but they don't ruminate like we do. They don't long like we do unless supply is low. And Debbie says, I know they do, but he's listening to my text if I text. How do you know that? How do you know that? And Debbie is saying hello to Lily. Hi, you're late. That's okay. I had to relog in. At first, I was going to do about super empaths, and then I forgot we were talking. If you guys still want to, we were talking about the different oddities with narcs and sex, and they can get even more creative. But we have to be careful. Um, on they can make up certain stories to make us feel bad for them. And be careful. They'll be like, let's just do a massage, we'll just do a massage, and they do that on purpose. Just, I'm not going to touch you, just, you can keep your underwear on, I'm just trying to give you a really good massage. And they know what they're trying to do. They can try to massage you and move your underwear out of the way, get a quick little peek, or they'll push their luck and touch when they shouldn't. But they're sitting here trying to say, I just want to give you a nice massage. You can trust me. And they still take their liberties. Some can take pictures and share your pictures. So be careful of that. Some will let you know that they're taking pictures. Others don't. They love those trophies, so be careful sharing any pictures or allowing any pictures, but they can do that when you're sleeping. They can, do little cameras. There was one guy who went into his ex-wife's bedroom and put cameras in some little thing and was watching her, and then that gotta be careful too, that can enrage them, and you're like, "What is going on? Where's this rage coming from?" And it's because 'cause they're mad that you moved on and you're doing your own thing. Um, Debbie says, "Because I asked for something and it stopped, but I can't say what." Okay, then it's hard to reply. Um, Something sexual is what you're saying? You asked for something sexual? Um And sometimes too, they don't know how to, they get uncomfortable or they feel that, um, yeah, they can run from not knowing kind of, okay. Um, and we're praying for you too, Melissa. Tomorrow is Easter. So hopefully you guys are doing some fantastic things for Easter. I'm going to my mom's and I need to make chocolate Rice Krispie treats because my sister loves Rice Krispie treats. And I decided to make them chocolate this time. Um, yes, Melissa says we went to our friend's son's celebration of life. We had a lot of good time with people. It's sad, but it's a part of life. Oh, that's hard. Um, that's hard when a parent loses a child. Big hugs to them. Made at least 2 friends in the celebration of life. Excellent. I like that. And if it's the right timing, try to get contacts from them where you can continue that friendship. I know I went for a walk and took my Dixie dog for a walk and I just said hi to this like teenage kid. And it seems like it made their day. They wanted to, pet Dixie and we just had a nice quick little interaction and it can uplift you. So, yeah, prayer is good. Prayer is good. And we can pray for ourselves too. Pray for others, pray for ourselves. And Lily says, I just read all comments to get the gift of what, hold on. I just read all comments to get the gift of what you're all talking about. Just, okay. I almost corrected it. I'm like, usually I'm good. Yeah, we're talking, and feel free to ask, what the heck? What are you talking about? Um, yeah, so we're talking about lots of things. You guys can ask about anything. The main topic, like I said, I was going to talk about super empaths, but Debbie was like, "It's so sad. You promised." And as far as misinterpretations, misinterpretations can happen in the healthiest, happiest of relationships. I posted that one um, thumbnail where it was the first one that I've ever tried editing, where the picture and the title and all that, colors, all that. And I just posted it. I don't think it's the perfect thumbnail, but I was able to manipulate and save it, and I wanted to see if I could upload it, and Debbie was like, "That's not the topic for tonight," and I thought you meant the thumbnail, but I forgot what we talked about. So Melissa says, "Happy early Easter." Yes, it is a beautiful holiday. I slept till 6 PM, which is insane, but sometimes we need extra rest for ourselves, Are you guys taking care of yourselves? Thank you. Same to you. Melissa is saying, uh, Debbie is saying that, but, we have to really look at outside forces to see how much we can trust the person we are with because you can be extremely vulnerable. They can think it's funny that they leave you tied up. They can get revenge on you. They can sleep with your best friend on purpose to piss you off. Narcissists um, aren't always kind. Lily says, I went to a fun birthday party today of daughter's friends since grade school because friends with the mom. Daughter is at Narcs for the weekend. Uh-oh. How has that been going with her and her father? Is he at least being kind to her? Sometimes Narcs will target um, one in particular person. And Lily, I don't know if he targeted you hardcore and when you set your boundaries, did he start targeting the daughter more or Um, what's sad too is they can, take it out on the kids or use the kids to get back at you. Yeah, and sometimes, it's almost like, they'll treat the child sometimes even better, kinda like a slap in your face trying to say, "I'm super fantastic" to our daughter, "What are you talking about?" So that the outside world thinks that they're great. Um, and how would that go, Debbie, if you spent the whole weekend with the narc? What do you think? How do you think it would be? If I could grant that to you right now, how do you think it would go? Because a lot of you, this is Easter. Be careful too if you wanted to spend this Easter with the narcissist. I don't know if you celebrate, but um, the narcissist doesn't like holidays a lot of times. They could get really pissed off that they have to go travel. Um, you know, um, they don't like the family interactions. There's a lot of fights a lot of times at narcissistic type of families, and some may be drinking a little bit more. They're not always good interactions because narcissists, when the thing's not about them, uh, in the beginning, they might go to it because they think they're gonna have great conversation, but if people aren't listening to them or people don't like the topic that they're talking about, they're gonna start to get agitated and irritated. And you're right, Kalibi, holidays do take the attention away from the narcs. And also, they wanna do their own thing. Is that necessarily what they want to do? Do they want to do family things or, would they rather watch porn? Or play video games or just kind of chill or get drunk. And also too, if you know you don't drink and they do, they're not going to want you to drive their car a lot of times too. Debbie says, but no one else around. Careful what I wish for. I might regret that too. And what can I ask you why you think that he sees your text? That's what I'm not understanding. Why do you think he sees your text? Lily says he is okay with her now, but was determined detrimental to stay when she was young. So left him when she was 9. She's 16, so too smart. And his girlfriend has a daughter the same age, which is why she loves to go there. Yeah, at the age 16, the child is starting to separate. And especially since, she has like a best friend kind of person there. They do their own thing. And um, yeah, so she has a support system, even if it is just a friend, like stepsister. Um, and that's good. And that's the thing too, is it would be harder if it was just her, because then he would feel he had to entertain her or listen to her emotional needs when now she's able to talk to the other girl most likely. So I don't know, guys. I wish it was easier. I wish none of us went through this. But here's the thing, Debbie, is I get where you're coming from. I've been there too. But earlier in this, we talked about the medications, like that little girl, she stopped taking her medications and she went right back into her trauma based response. Um, Debbie says, I asked for a no trauma bond and I would give him what he wants. It stopped. And he as in God or he as in narc? Let me know what you mean by he. Oh, you asked him? I'm sorry, I'm starting to understand. Um, yeah, because he thinks you're, like, psychoanalyzing him, and you're saying that the relationship's fucked up, and saying that, you wanna work on it. Narcs don't like to work on it, and, uh, yeah, it probably has something, you know, um, you're telling him it's toxic, and while we could change it so it's not toxic, they take it as offense, and also that you have to to change. Lily says, I keep telling him to practice driving with her because can get her license in June. And I say, are you taking her driving? And he texts back, some. He can't even denote time. So to that, time to that. So hate him. Yeah. You're trying to do what's best. And that's frustrating when you want to do what's best for your daughter and she's going with him and you have no control. And even if she's like, "Daddy, can we go do it?" Uh, he might not, and, she needs that drive time. I believe there's a requirement on how many hours you need if she doesn't get it, plus she probably needs to practice because people can fail those driving tests. And yeah, just the way, the word "some" it's a very general, very general. Some could mean, yeah, some we go 15 minutes a day. It's not all that much, but it's some. Or it can mean some, like I let her drive to the mailbox once. So it doesn't let you know. And they're vague on purpose. They are vague on purpose. And, usually you'd be a little bit more. We've done about 2 hours, but they don't like letting you know. And it gets frustrating because this is the other thing too. Like if Lily asked, are you taking her driving? Some, well, you're taking her every day. Maybe, okay, because she needs to have, I don't know, 20 hours this week by this week, and then she's lacking this. And when you start trying to communicate, you start sounding like a nag. It doesn't feel like you because you're like, geez, just like I would have said, yes, I took her Wednesday and Friday. We got 3 hours clocked. And then you just feel like you're pulling teeth. Like, how do you not know? It is nerve wracking. Lily says for me, so the least he can do, but I'll have to get some kahunas and have her drive with me. Oh, have you not driven with her yet? I know my first time driving, got driver's training, driver's ed, and I was always afraid of a bird or an animal. Never wanted to hit an animal. So first time on the road, and this bird came up to my windshield about to be killed, and I like closed my eyes and turned away, took my hands off the driving steering wheel. Yeah, and Cynthia, you can't take your hands off the wheel. You have to look. Yeah. And this is sad. The only bunny I have ever killed, I killed on Easter Sunday. This is probably 2002, something like that, on Easter Sunday. So if you don't see the Easter bunny, it's because I killed it accidentally driving 6 a.m. in the morning. I keep telling her to practice driving. Um, Yeah, it can be nerve-wracking. So Lily said, I'm sorry, Calibri, I have met narcs who initiated an invite to the group, used to belong to on a Thanksgiving dinner. Then take canceled the week of Thanksgiving. So the people they've invited were high and dry. Yeah, some people, now they can't get tickets to their other family or they're out money or some people take off work to get to a certain place and just to have it canceled the week of Thanksgiving. Um, that can let a lot of people down. Uh, did they at least notify people? Sometimes, they wait till the very last minute or after the minute. That's infuriating when it's after. They can let you show up and they're like, "Oh, we put a sign on the door." It's like, "I just drove like 5 hours to get here," and yeah, that can and we gotta be careful too on holidays. There's a lot of depression during holidays, so a lot of people were probably extra looking forward to that. So I'm sorry that happened. Lily says, "Then I see her GPS 360 and she hasn't gone anywhere, so he's lying." Um Yeah, most likely, she would have her phone on her, um, most likely, especially girls, we carry those purses a lot of times. Boys, it depends if it fits in their pocket. Um, but yeah, if she had her permit, she'd probably wanna carry her purse, if she has one. Lily says, "Just around the development, but not on main streets." Did I teach my daughter? Yep. Yeah, my ex did too. He was pretty good with that, and we had the, driver's training, we paid for that. Kalibi says, "Oh, these 2" I also helped her boyfriend. I helped her boyfriend, um, get it. So, Kalibi says, "Oh, these 2 a-holes notified the group during the holiday weekend." Hmm. Mm. Yeah, and I wonder too, did they just, like, canceled or "I'm so sorry"? A lot of times too, they don't explain or they make up some big old story. You never know what's true with the narcissist. There are things that happen, sometimes with funding. Was that after COVID? When did that happen? Were there restrictions during COVID? But no more driver's ed at school. We learned that way. Okay. Yeah, they're changing things. Now, is she able to get a full license at 16, or does she have to wait till 18 for that? I wanna say there's some new stipulation kinda thing, um, uh, where they can only drive till 10, or I don't know what it is. Calibri says, "Narc see emotional supply, either positive or negative." They just want the supply. They just want attention, and, um, good point. And, you know, uh if they're not gonna stand out for being the prettiest person out there, they'll stand out for being the ugliest or least fashionable or whatever is gonna make them stand out. So, okay, 16 full license and yes, a curfew. Okay, I thought there was something a little different. Yeah, I don't remember having a curfew on the license itself. Mom and dad had one. Debbie says, I want attention too. LOL. Yeah, and that's the thing is we have to realize, um, we can use teachable moments, kind of like that was so sweet. I just love cuddling with you. Kind of reinforcing that we love it and hopefully they'll give us more. But we're like, why won't you cuddle with me? What is wrong with you? Don't you care? Like that pushes them away too. But uh they don't give us a lot of teachable moments. And that's where it gets screwed. You're like, "Okay, I'll wait. I'll wait till he calls," and I just love talking to you. It feels so good. They never call, and so we're like, "I don't have that teachable moment. I'm trying to do things right, but then you're like, "You fucker, why don't you call me?" You know? So we have, like, breaking points too. Lily says they have to hold the permit for a year. Okay. Thank you for the update. I got so confused. Kalibi says, I know that I'm not a narc because I hide from attention. I don't like people looking at me. Oh, Kalibi. Aw. Um, Do you know why you don't like people looking at you? There are some people like that. Uh, but usually there's a reason, why we're shy. Either, possibly we were made to feel like we weren't good enough or looked the right way. Maybe we didn't have much money growing up. We didn't feel like we had the right kind of clothes. Um, Hiding from attention. Maybe we're afraid of saying the wrong things. So usually there's something from our past that makes us feel that way. And it can be quite overwhelming sometimes, but you grew up poor. Yeah, I think that has something to do with it. Why you shy away from that? Because you are extremely smart and very pleasurable to talk to. Um, and sometimes you can tell somebody's backstory just on when they tell you a little bit about their personality. Usually we're shy for a reason. And it's good to, try to build your self-esteem up. Now I get it. There's times when I am a teacher, and then also YouTube and stuff like that. There are times I just want to do my own thing, just go through the store, get my stuff, and I have my little mini paparazzi following me, not super big. Um, but when I was over in China, I told you too, I stood out a lot, and I felt like I was Britney Spears walking around, like, all the people wanting pictures and stuff like that. I knew it was temporary. I wasn't gonna live in China, so I kinda ate it up, kinda loved it, took pictures with them. It was kinda fun. I got to embrace being a little bit different, 6'1", blonde hair, blue eyes, and, um, But yeah, over here, sometimes too when it's more personal, do I care what they thought I looked like that morning if I just, got up and just out of the hotel and it's like, I just want to get a Diet Pepsi and I look like heckadoodle. But here, you got to run into people. So Debbie says, I always wanted his attention. I hit it in the beginning, but that was short lived. I got it in the beginning, but that was short lived. Um, Yeah, and we are left like we're wondering what went wrong. What went wrong? And we start thinking, was I not sexy enough? Was I not funny enough? Was I not intelligent enough? It's not us. It is not us. Um, it just didn't work. It just didn't work. So that's hard. Um, you know, both people have to want it, and it's hard. Lily says, was talking to my bestie before, and we both said, I guess the only way people meet these days is online dating apps. I don't want to do that, but should one of these days. I know I'm too scared to do it. I'm too scared to do it. I've had issues with it. My sister's met a couple people that way, some pretty good people, you know. But I also hear horror stories, And I did tell you guys my daughter made me a plenty of fish. That's so sleazy, that place. I even had one guy uh, hit me and her up. You're the most beautiful woman, da 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 da, making it seem very personal that he thought I was the most beautiful. But he said the exact same thing to my daughter. Now she made it for me, but they were probably a year, 2 years apart. And you don't put your name on it, so it's very random. Like he's probably texting every single girl. Um, because my daughter doesn't necessarily even look like me, so it's not like his type. I think, and plus the age difference, and he was a lot younger. Um, and yeah, it's interesting. Um, Also, too, we were talking about sexuality in the narcs. They might steal your panties, take those home, show them off to your buddies, or have it for their own sexual gratification playtime later. Go through your laundry, all those kind of things. And just be aware they can search your place, out of curiosity. They'll go through, you know, um, letters, phones, just because sometimes too, once they have sex with you, they think they own you. Uh, um, yeah, so just be careful. I don't know, Lily. Yeah, I'm getting frustrated too. It's like, where do we meet good people? Calibri says the richness that my parents gave me is a good, loving family, good education, and a practical look at life. They rejected the elements of materialism. And that's kind of a good trait. It's hard growing up that way. It's very hard because people can tease you if you don't have the coolest thing, or even if they don't tease you, you feel like, you know, it's so important to have those things and you don't. Um, so that can be hard. I can understand that. I was kind of like that too. Not super poor. My dad had a job transfer around the age of 8, and then we started having some money. But Debbie says, I'll never do it. I'd rather be alone. I don't trust guys anymore. I was married once for 42. Yes, I'd rather be alone. And that's a good thing. But, if you're happy with that, but if you want someone, then don't sell yourself short. If you can heal, you can be stronger, you can pick through the red flags, see them. And, it does get frustrating. It gets scary, but don't give up on a relationship if you want it because of trauma, because there are good relationships and life's going to get harder as we get older. It would be nice to have somebody um, in the, you know, end of life, somebody to watch out for us, notice little things. Are we having heart issues? Can they take us to the doctors? Or, there's times we got to do that for them too. And that can be scary. But Lily says, I mean, like when she starts driving, so to be busy more so I don't worry about her and maybe do fun things with a companion, but don't care to, but feel I should. Yeah, there's a time that we're going to have to experience life. you know? Um, you know, we need to get there. And just do it with, like, friends. Set your boundaries, like, "Look, I'm not gonna sleep with you, I'm not ready to get intimate, but I would love to have coffee with you," or, "I'd like to go to the beach with you," but I'm not ready for anything physical, and as long as you're honest with them. Kalibi says, "I forgot, they also imparted the principle of honesty, accountability, and hard, honest work living. Love my parents." It sounds like you have really good ones, you know? And at least they, taught you too about, the materialistic aspect of society, and, that shouldn't be your identity. What what you wear, all that kind of stuff. You gotta be strong within yourself. So sometimes it's a blessing when we go up like that. So guys, I'm gonna finish reading this. I'm gonna cut it a little short because I do have to go out of town in the morning. Um, but I definitely wanted to say hi to you guys. Kalibi says, Kalibi, you have met people online. I did it many years ago, but I felt like I was going on interviews. Would like to meet a nice man at a grocery store instead of dating app. I agree with that too. Lily says, I love being alone too, Debbie. Been there, done that. Libby says, one thing that made the narcs mad at me was when I install the lock that I usually lock from the outside, whenever I do my errands, so no access narco. Yeah, you said, the person, you do have somebody who could have access, correct? At your complex. Lily says, "I would have to be on guard, not telling someone where I work or live until you really know them." That's where I get scared too. That's and, I told you just last weekend ow, sorry. Just last weekend, I told somebody, "You can chat for 10 minutes," and I ended up with bruises. Yeah, so not good. Kalibi says, Lily, I've met my first narc cycle from a dating site. I found out how crazy he is, so be careful. We got to be careful too, yeah, because, you know, yeah, with them feeling their looks and all that stuff. There was just an ad. Everyone else get it. They should pay you, Cynthia, because they're advertising. Yeah, it's so funny. I had, what is it? Uh, it pays so little. It's so funny. I'll probably get 0.001 cent, if I get, like, what is it, 5.2 thousand views, and it depends, it varies, based on topic, but, uh it's per 1,000 views, you get very little. So, that's why it does help with you guys giving me those thumbs up. The comments really help push it through the algorithm. Um, because, yeah, I haven't even made $150 yet, but I'm here to help you guys. Getting closer, but that's 1,000 videos. So, I just love being here for you guys because we are here to help, and, I love that you guys have a chance to interact with each other. We're getting to know each other better. Let's hope John returns pretty soon. And sorry, this is a little bit shorter of a message. Live chat, just a little over an hour, but I definitely want to wish you guys a fantastic holiday. And so thank you, Lily. Yeah, there are those super chats and all that stuff too, where you guys can donate if you would like. It's always appreciated, not necessarily, it's not expected, not necessarily required. Kalibi says these days one just does not know what they're going to get, either from a dating site or in person. Yeah, we're at the point where who knows? It is advisable to know them very well before you let them into your life. I agree. So is Lily. Happy Easter. Clevie, I thought about you. Like, I wonder if he's going to give me tulips. I was going to wear two little, well, you're supposed to wear them down here, but I was wondering I almost did some Dutch braids because I love those tulips. Thank you so much, Melissa. Thank you for everything. You too. Yes, I do. It's about, well, maybe about two. Maybe about two. When I go to my sister's, it's about three. So not super bad. It's about 2 hours. Yeah, it depends on how I do it, but, 3, 4 hours round trip. Maybe that's what you're thinking. Maybe I said round trip. Um, so yes, it'll be alright. It depends on hour and a half, 2 hours. So maybe I told you guys round trip. So lots of love to you guys. Enjoy Easter. We're having, Italian. I don't know. I was gonna make a ham and everything, but we're doing Italian. So, just like driving from Seattle to Portland. Oh, but that's state to state. Portland, Oregon? I didn't realize it was that close. Well, lots of love to you guys. Happy Easter. He is the reason for the season. Say your prayers. Oregon, awesome. Lots of love, guys. Thanks for joining in. See you soon. And Lily, thank you for that. I do bring Dixie. Yes, tomorrow is my sister's dog's birthday. So we are also having a doggy birthday tomorrow. So Dixie is invited for the party. So there'll be 4 dogs there. There'll be 4 dogs. So she's going to love it. She loves the car ride too. Can't wait for it. She loves cars. See you soon, guys. Thanks for joining. Bye. And Lily says, take care, everyone. Have a great week ahead. Good week. You too.